I got a thing for them freaky ones. Pretty face, colored eyes, yeah, them thicky ones. Strip club, VIP, throw a stack at once. Bend it over, hit the floor, and watch you back it up. Yeah, I'm young and I'm fly, I be acting up. And everyday payday. Hey, what's good with everybody, man? I hope everybody's having a productive day, feeling blessed, and like I always say, it's one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right, so let's get it done. As you can see from the thumbnail, you know, I'm gonna have a story about the motifs from Visalia, and I'm also gonna have a story about one individual that I met from Local Park. And that's why I think it's important that I engage with my audience and engage with the comment section, because of the subscriber reminded me of this particular individual, and I recollected a whole lot of different memories. So let's get right into it, man. If you haven't hit the subscription button, please do so. That way you could be alerted on all my new upcoming videos. Always hit the like button, and please leave a comment. You know, like I said, I'll read every comment and I answer as much as I can to the best of my ability. And, you know, continue to bring the questions, man. I like where this is going, and you guys have provided a great platform for me to exercise my mind and, you know, talk about things, get a lot of things on my chest, you know, go down, you know, drift on the memory, should I say. So let's get to it. The first incident was about OTs, you know, the Oriental troops. They've always been, from my understanding, they've always been, even though they've started in Bakersfield and a couple other little remote locations, you know, they ended up in Visalia as well, the factions. Now, I didn't know the brothers that did the shootings in the Visalia Mall. So in this particular incident, I don't know if these two individuals, the Seha brothers, I don't know if they were there at this time. This was in 2004. I did a carjacking in Tulare with the homies from Traver. These individuals showed up at the house that I was living at the time, because, like I said, me and the homies were dating the sisters, you know, Monique and Tiffany Herrera, that lived on the west side on Sonora Street. And the homie picked me up, and he's like, he wanted to do a highlight. And I was like, let's go, bro. I was tweaked out. I didn't really care what I was doing. I just wanted to have fun. So we go on a mission. Caught some individual, you know, warming up his car. He decided to leave the keys running. He walked right in the house. When we pulled up, we stole the vehicle, stole everything in the vehicle. There was a wallet with a substantial amount of money. And then he drives me to Visa. Why he decided to drive me to Visa, Northside Visa, who knows? But he drops me off at the homegirl Francine and Francesca's house, and we were just chopping it up. And then he wanted to go sell the car and get some dope, and he said he was gonna come pick me up. He never came to pick me up, so I wound up staying there. And I had a 20 gauge single shot, you know, buck shots in there. And like I said, it looked like a musket. That's what the homie slid me. So I'm kicking it. But see, I know Francesca. I known her since school. But at the time, she was dating the homie Junebug. But Francine was from Farmersville. I had met Francine because I used to date a girl from juvenile hall. We got out when I got out of YA. She died in a car accident. Her name is Serena Flores. When I met a lot of homies from Fatima, I was like, you know, Cricket, Joker, Anthony Gutierrez. You know, he made that song in a TC roll call, and I wind up staying there all day. You know, they were smoking and drinking, and I met the homegirl Ivory. Ivory eventually caught a case with one of the homies from Northside Vasa, who actually became a compa later, who actually became gay later. They did a shooting on a bike when she was on the peg. She actually shot at some Southerners. I'm chilling with these individuals all day. They take me to, they would take me someplace on the north side where they had this rap group called Rival Killers. And this is before Maniac died, because he got killed because they said he was stealing from the regiment. So I got to meet these individuals. I got to go to the studio with these individuals, hear their music, and, you know, I was having a good time. Francesca stays with the Rival Killers because she knew them a lot longer, and I think she wanted to date one of them. So me, Ivory, and Francine wound up going back to Ivory's house to go smoke some dope. And I'm from Tulare. Oriental troops, the OTs ain't out in Tulare. You know, we had Wicked at Surenos, and that was pretty much it. So I'm not familiar with the Visalia ground. So we end up walking back, and I see a bunch of Asian dudes next to one car, and I'm talking about a bunch of these guys. And they're all wearing blue, but a lot of them were wearing black Chuck Taylors. I don't know why. But I had a red T-shirt on, I had white corduroy shorts, and I had the old school K-Swiss with the red laces. So automatically, I assumed, like, these dudes are Southerners. Francine and Ivory tell me, like, nah, man, those are OTs right there. They be tripping on the homies. And I was like, what? And then that's when I asked her, I was like, what the hell's an OT? And they're like, man, it's an Asian Crip gang, man. Don't know, just keep walking. But me being an arrogant, dumb, young kid, I start me-mugging them because I feel like I got a strap. I got one bullet. And I'm just looking at them like, and they're looking back. So finally, they threw their hands up. I'm like, what's up, cuz? And I told Ivory, I go, watch, I'm going to bust at this fool real quick. I just told him, like, keep walking forward. I'm going to bust. And sure enough, man, I wait for the crowd to get outside the gate, and I turn around and I shoot once. But it's buckshots and I'm far away, so I'm just pretty much just throwing a bunch of rocks at them. So we get to running, we make it to Ivory's pad, and we kick it for like 2.5, 3 hours, and then she's bragging, and we thought, I'm 14 years old thinking like, yeah, I put in work, I did the deed, I impressed these girls, I'm probably gonna get laid, hell yeah. But eventually we had to walk back because Francine was staying with Francesca at the time. So Ivory wants to come along. We don't even go down the same block where these individuals are at. We do a couple, detours. And sure enough, they were driving around in that same damn rice rocket, and they caught us slipping. And without even telling me anything, Francine and Ivory just take off running. I didn't know where they were going, and I'm not from Northside Vice, so I don't know where I was going. But I knew where Francesca lived at, so I told myself, just run towards that direction and make it there. But nah, they caught me slipping. I can remember I had been up 3 or 4 days. I hadn't ate nothing. I haven't even drinking water. So I started spazzing out. I started gassing out within maybe 30, 40 seconds of me running, and they caught up to me. And mind you, like I said, they were deep. I don't know how many jumped me that day. I remember I was trying to hop a fence, and they managed to pull my red belt down, and they pulled me down, and they started jumping me. They weren't hitting me that hard, and I was gassing, and I remember I was holding my face, and then I remember running up towards a patio, and it was on the porch. Tried to open the door, it didn't open. So I ran towards my left, and I was gonna jump off the patio, but they were already waiting for me down there, and some were chasing me on the patio. So by the time I hit the ground, I just see this one dude with a blue beanie and a white t-shirt just running both 2 feet like some Liu Kang shit, just kicked my chest, and I just fell. And then they stomped me out. After they're done, they left. I got up. It took me about maybe 45, 50 minutes to get to Francesca's pad. Francine and Ivory didn't even go back. So Francesca was confused, and I remember Francesca calling them up, cussing them out, like, why would you leave him hanging? Fool, this fool ain't even from around here. Why'd you guys do that to him? Why'd you let him get jumped? And I'm sitting there hurting, and I just remember telling Francesca, like, hey, man, can you do me a favor? Can you give me a ride back to the town, bro? I'm hurting. She actually asked her dad, which was an older homie that passed away. I think he passed away recently. She asked him to give me a ride home, and he dropped me off in Tulare on P Street. And I went to my cousin's house, Danae's and Daniela's, and I just lay there. And my mom had kicked me out the house, and I just remember just sitting there. And I remember going back to the hood and telling the homies from STL, like, bro, I got jumped by a bunch of Asian dudes. I don't even know who these guys were, but they came deep. But that was the only time I ever ran into an Oriental troop. And like I said, I don't know none of these guys. I didn't know who they were, but I forever hated Francine and Ivory for that. And never talked to those girls again after that because I feel like I got left hanging. I got done dirty. Now, I couldn't remember if I ran into anybody from the Surenos from Loco Park, but one of my subscribers had brought up this dude's name, and I started laughing. I was like, yeah, bro, this is the first Southsider that ever knocked me out in juvenile hall. Well, he's the first Southsider that ever knocked me out, period. His name was Trooper. He was light-skinned. He was buff because everybody said he was a boxer. And I remember he had hazel eyes. And I remember I was in juvenile hall already for a while. I already got to a bunch of fights in juvenile hall. And I was celled up with an individual named Michael Rios from Northside Vice, who actually dropped out, went to High Desert, became a rider, came out, and got charged with a sex crime for, I think it's a rape charge against his daughter or his stepdaughter. My homegirls gave me the information, so he got it bad now in county jail. But he was my cellie, and he was telling me, like, man, this fool's known in Vice, bro. He gets him up with the homies. And me being a kid trying to put in work and trying to earn a name in juvenile hall and on the streets, I was like, I'm going to fight this fool when we go outside. I don't know how this individual got wind of it, but I remember we were doing our PT, our physical training, for like the first 30 minutes before we can run around and play basketball. So we completed that, and then we started running laps. So I went to go drink some water. I was like, I'm going to rush him as soon as he hits that lap. But every time he got close to the water, he'd pull back, so I couldn't rush him. Finally, there was yard recall. My line got up first, and he was still sitting down. So I was like, I'm going to rush him right now. But as soon as I got up to him, he hopped up and was like, what's up, fool? And we started squabbing. And we started exchanging blows. And then, like, this dude was, I'm telling you guys right now, this dude was buff, big, and humongous. Like, he was built like that, built for tough. And he hit me. And all I remember is my head hitting the ground, and I opened my eyes, and I seen Michael Rios jump. I was like, what's up, fool, Northside Vice? And they started fighting, and I just laid on the ground, and I was just watching their feet scuffle. When I finally sat up, I was dazed and confused. I wasn't listening to the cop, and I got sprayed with pepper spray, and they got sprayed. So me and Michael Reeves go back to the cell, pepper sprayed, and he was pepper sprayed. I wound up going back to YA for my second term, and I was in Sacramento at the time, NRCC, and he shows up. And then me and that fool just got hella cool. Like, he was a cool ass individual. He was beefing with a lot of Southerners from down south because I even in YA, the Southerners from down south didn't like the Southerners from up north. But I was chopping up with him. We got hella cool. It was just a mutual respect thing because I knew he slept me. But one time, the homies asked me, he was walking in line with me. We were walking back from the gym, and the homies asked me what a certain homie from Surenos, what cell he was in. And it was like cell 113. But my dumb ass says 113 as a form of disrespect because I didn't like to say the word 13. But yeah, I was a little kid. And he turned around and he goes, "Hey, fool, it's 13. And then I got challenged, so I had no choice. I was in front of the homies. He defended his honor and his loyalty and his pride, and we started squabbling right there. And it was the same exact results, other than I didn't get knocked out this time, but he dropped me on my ass. And when he dropped me on my ass, two homies from one homie was from Salinas. He was from Salinas Kilbreth. He was from Salinas Kilbreth, and another homie jumped in to jump on him, and then two other Southerners jumped in. So it was pretty much a 3-on-3, but he dazed me again, where I pretty much was out of the fight after that. I was just like hopping around trying to get into the fight, but he pretty much dazed me. But that's who that individual was, and my subscriber bringing him up, like, this dude was, they said he was actually a street boxer. Like, he boxed in the boxing rings, he boxed on the streets. And I had the privilege to get to fight this individual to try to prove myself, especially to the homies from Northside Vice that were in juvie at the time. Only for this fool within maybe 6 or 7 punches slept me on my side. So I had to give him his props. But I think that's the only individual I ran into from Loco Park. And it's funny that a lot of people on my subscribers in my comments section are always talking about, hey, talk about the Surenos from, Sutown locals, and talk about, Southside Winos or Southside Kings. I rarely run into these guys. I rarely ran into them through any of my prison terms, my YA terms, my juvie terms. But it did come up the other day on my YouTube feed. It said Sutown Surenos, and it said Tulare County, and they have their own little page. They're all their pictures of them rapping, and I'm like, hey, times has changed. I mean, starting to branch out and starting to get bigger than what we thought when it used to be. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing is not my problem no more. But they're out here, bro. So each his own, man. So with that being said, man, I hope you guys like my stories. I had to admit that I did get knocked out by one of them, but hey, wins and losses, man, wins and losses. And I'm actually glad that I get to engage with my subscribers, because he reminded me of this individual. And I remember leaving a comment back like, hey, bro, I remember that dude. That was the first dude that ever knocked me out of my whole life, besides me getting jumped in my hood, and little Vincent Uranga knocked me out, but that's different. And I got jumped. This individual one-on-one me, and it seemed like every hit he connected, like I was losing conscious, and to the point I hit the ground and I didn't wake up for a little bit till Michael Rios' little weird ass jumped in and saved me. So I hope you guys like my stories, man. I'm always brief on my stories. I don't like to get into too much detail. It's enough to, to entertain you guys, man. So don't forget to hit the link in the description. I'll be coming through with more videos. And like I always say, one life, one chance, man. Peace.